filming today. At the end, we'll have a question and answer period, and we will ask you to wait for the microphone to come to you. We'll take a 5-minute break between the presentations and the Q&A. Okay. Here's our agenda today. I won't go through the whole thing. We do have a guest that will follow this introduction from the Turtle Trackers to give you an update on the program for this year. So without further ado, Linda, are you here? Come on up.
I did have one slide. You do? Yeah. Thank you. Good morning, everyone. I'm Linda Zambali, and I'm a turtle tracker. Lucky day for you. Yesterday was the start of turtle nesting season here in Hilton Head. And so May 1st through October 31st, you're likely to see turtles on the beach. So perfect timing for me to come here and tell you who we are. We're a group of volunteers. We are residents of Sea Pines. We are men and women, and we are part-timers, we are full-timers, and there's about 75 or 76 of us to date. And so what do? What's our role? Our role is to promote sea turtle awareness. And how do we do it? We're on the beach every day. You're likely to see us with shovels and rakes filling holes. You're likely to see us passing out red flashlight filters to cover the white lights of your flashlights and your iPhones. You're most likely to see us picking up plastic bags and straws and other trash on the beach. If you hang out at the Salty Dog, I'm sure you've seen our kiosk. We're set up there. We spend time with the kids and the families as they're waiting to have dinner. We show them pictures, videos, and in most cases, it's the first time these kids have heard about sea turtles and what sea turtles are all about. And I'm sure you've read The Pines, because we have an article in The Pines every month written by one of our volunteers. So those are the things we do. And now there's just a couple of things I want you to remember for sea turtles nesting season. And the first thing is, if you're a beachfront homeowner, we'd love you to turn off your lights at 10 p.m. and don't turn them back on till the morning. The lights distract and disorient the sea turtles coming up to nest. And there are sea turtle friendly lighting options, and if you want to see it in action, go over to Sea Pines Beach Club, because they do it right. The second thing we want you to know is not to use regular white flashlights as you're walking on the beach at night. Get red ones. Most of the stores around here have turtle friendly flashlights, or look for one of us. We're not hard to find on the beach. We'll give you the red filters, or call us, contact us. We'll bring some over to you or your guests or anyone who's renting your home. Fill your holes on the beach. Have fun all day long. Enjoy our beautiful beaches. But before you go home, fill the holes, knock down your sandcastles. And lastly, if you see our nest, which are not hard to find, there are 3 posts with orange ribbon around it and a big sign that says Federally Protected Loggerhead Nest. Leave it alone. And if you're one of those really lucky people to encounter a mama loggerhead coming up at night on the beach to lay her eggs, don't get in her way. Let her do her thing. She has a mission. If she's disturbed or spooked, she's likely to turn around and go back into the water, and we'll lose all 120 of those eggs. So we'll be in the back at the end of this meeting. We have turtle facts on a sheet. We have some decals for all of you to take home with you. And just last thing I want to say is I want to thank the CSA for your collaboration with the beach walk signs. You've gotten them almost all up this week. Thanks very much. And be a volunteer.
Thank you, Linda. It's a great program. Very excited for another year of turtle tracking. And seeing all of that and the volunteers out there on the beach, it's a great program. Thank you very much. Just a real quick notice, we had a strategic plan update meeting scheduled. We have delayed that. We got our presentation together, and it was a little over 2 hours. So we thought that That was not the right way to do this, so we're probably going to roll this out in a variety of different ways in a step-by-step process, and Amanda will be getting out more information on that and what we're doing. But I did want to give you a quick update on the existing strategic plan and some of the things that we are working on. Many of you who have attended the annual meeting saw some information on the Gallery of Shops, and I'm going to give you some more information on that today. But back in 2015, we adopted the original strategic plan, and in that we had some components that we wanted to validate the importance to you, and one of those was the Greenwood Gate. In previous information requests and collection, the Strategic Planning Committee at the time collected 4 key items that they wanted to get more information on. And one was about the Greenwood Gate and that corridor between Sea Pine Circle and the gate, and what happens there and what doesn't happen there. And I've got some updates for you on that in conjunction with what we're doing with Gallery of Shops. The second item here that we're going to talk about a little bit is about landscaping, the maintenance of the landscaping throughout Sea Pines. And we've done another additional survey to get more detail about that so that we can do a better plan in managing our landscape and those corridors, specifically those entry and primary roadway corridors that everybody sees and experiences every day. So, you know, the top 2, again, were the Greenwood Gate and landscape maintenance. We also have forest preserve infrastructure that we asked about, and that was also very important. But from a priority perspective, we focused on the gate and landscaping, and we've got some of the landscaping already in place along Greenwood, and we'll talk a little bit about that ongoing. And I know David has already done a presentation on the landscape plan. So let's go to the next slide, if we would. Okay, back in September of 2015, we did a landscape preference survey, and the responses were asked to tell us what kinds of preferences you had. Did you want these formalized, like Colleton River kinds of looking landscaping preferences with a lot of hardscapes and curbs and manicured plantings, or did you prefer design type A, which is the more natural? And we got the results back. And the next page, basically what we got was that, you know, a little more preference to a mix of those 2 types at our entry gates. Not throughout Sea Pines, but at the entry gate specifically, key areas that are high impact to do a little more formalized planting and hardscape. However, on the roadways, it was clear to us that in the interior roadways, the roadsides, as you go throughout Sea Pines, was a more natural look. And that's what we've aspired to do in our plantings, and that's the direction that we give our landscape planner to maintain the areas that we are targeting. The first targeted area that the MEMP committee determined that was the highest priority was along Greenwood. This corridor, and we have done a plan here, and David has, you know, given you that information in past presentations, but this is going to be coming back up as we go through the strategic plan and what we're trying to accomplish here over a period of years. You know, we didn't get into a fairly rough status on some of our landscaping overnight. It happened over a period of years where things just were not replaced and updated. And that's what we're trying to do now, is to make sure we have a plan in place to take us forward. Okay, additionally, we looked at the gate configuration and what we could do. We have a committee, we had a traffic task force. We worked in conjunction with the town in their Circle to Circle committee and generated a lot of ideas and brought those back to you last fall in a survey. And we got 2,800 responses, and I think you've heard us say before, we think we touched a nerve on the getting that many responses. So it was an important item, and we validated how important it was. We asked 26 questions that we set about certain scenarios, and we got your feedback on the highest priorities. And those top 10 highest priorities came back in this order. Number 1, vehicles stopping in the left lane to purchase a pass or get information or be turned around. That was number 1. And 85.7% of you said that was a very important thing for us to try to fix. Number two, delays due to excessive backup of traffic attempting to enter the Sea Pine Circle. You know, that's where I thought we were actually going to get number one, was that delay at the circle, but it came out number two. Obviously, they're very close and very related at 84.7%. Number three, difficulty turning out of Office Park Road onto Greenwood Drive. I was a little surprised by this, you know, that this was this high of a priority for folks. You know, that turn from Office Park back onto Greenwood, coming back into Sea Pines, was the number three and very, you know, comparative to the top two. Obviously, that's a concern. Something is happening today about that to try to mitigate that. And we have, I think we've sent out some notifications of possible traffic delays. The town, in conjunction with the USC-BC campus, is working on that intersection. We are going to have an extended lane for merge so that you can, one, more easily turn from Office Park onto Greenwood. There's a curb cut that comes a little bit out into the intersection, so it makes you have to really do a hard left once you get out into the intersection to get into the merge lane. That's going to be taken back a little bit so you can get more aggressively into that, and then that lane is extended out. We don't know that that's going to be the long-term solution to this, but it should help mitigate some of it, and we're hoping that it'll at least help, you know, in the short term. Number four, vehicle stopping or slowing in the left lane while attempting to merge into the right lane to purchase a pass. And as you know, there is no merge lane there, so they are stuck in their lane of traffic until someone lets them through. So another high priority for us that we saw. And then number five, vehicles turning left onto or out of Office Park Road across your lane of travel. Same kind of thing. When you're coming back in or you're in, someone's trying to make that turn, either coming in or going out, it's a challenge. And sometimes I saw it yesterday leaving. There's just someone out there in no man's land kind of sitting in the middle of the intersection without a place to go. So, you know, we knew that we needed to try to address that, and you'll see as we go through the strategic plan in more detail after, I won't be sharing all those ideas today, we really want to focus on gallery shops, but you'll see we've thought through a lot of those things and have some suggested recommendations from our engineers. Okay, I'm not going to go through all 10, but they're there. We can refer back if we need to. Okay, so this is the area that we're talking about. You know, the circle to really Club Course Drive and what's happens in there, all the traffic that moves in and out and around those corridors. Let's move on. And we know that we have gallery shops. We did get an agreement from Publix on a design concept. I shared that at the annual meeting. Talk a little bit about it here today, and talk a little bit about some of those top 10 items that we believe it's going to help us with. Okay, this is it. This is the area. You know, we have the second one, right? Which one am I pushing? Okay, so here's gallery shops existing in the configuration. The turn in to come to a 5-lane pass office so that we can get traffic off the road versus buying your pass at the gate. All passes will now be shifted to this area for purchase and or issuance. It's also a little bit more convenient than going around the back of the pass office where it currently sits today at the Sea Pines Welcome Center. So traffic comes in here, makes a turn. We have a window on a building here similar to what we have at the existing pass office. And then we have 5 stations, one of which is for large vehicles on the far right so that we can process those big trucks that come in. A lot of times Toby's crew gets a truck that's a moving van of some sort and they're trying to go to a T Street. Well, anybody who's ever tried to get a moving van on a T Street knows you can't get a moving van on a T Street and get it out. You can get it in there, but you can't get it out. So we have to do some additional work with those folks to make sure they can get in and get out. We need a place for them to go here so we can address that, and they can be positioned to wait for assistance to get to that location. You know, another key thing that we think about this is that we've got 5 stations here. We also have an interior space. For those that have questions about information, we can make our own welcome center where people can get out, get brochures, get that kind of information without stopping traffic at the gate. And we're excited about that opportunity for people to be able to ask for information, come in, sit down with one of our staff members, and us be able to resolve whatever it is. A lot of times folks come in for a pass and their name isn't in the system. There isn't a pass waiting for them. So we have to take care of those folks as well, and it's easier for us to just ask them to come on in instead of, especially during times when it's really busy here, we want to get that traffic through and make sure we pay attention to that person who has a special request. So the exit comes back here. We have a new lane, an entrance lane along Greenwood. So they're not turning out into an existing lane of traffic. They would turn out of this building into a merge lane that they could later merge down the road here into the 2 lanes coming into Greenwood. So everybody who goes to the gate now has a pass. Okay? If you get to the gate without a pass, you have to be turned around just as we do today and sent back to this operation. We'll have signage along the way so that people are clearly seeing that. We encourage you who are, calling in passes for your guests to make sure you're clear on where that is. We'll certainly have a communication effort out there to try to coordinate this to make sure that it is well-known how to get that. We have some additional things we're working on with Publix. We're also working on some additional things with the resort. We would like a return lane to come straight here, instead of, as it does today, go out. If you get to the gate and you're at the wrong place, we just turn you around and send you back onto the Welcome Center exit. And if you're going back to Hilton Head, you have to make this left turn. And we don't want a lot of those, so we would prefer to try to get some sort of a exit or a lane to return back to the pass office and out of Sea Pines over through this. But we have to get that agreed to by the resort and by Publix. We would also like to expand this lane to a 3-lane with a center turn lane so that traffic doesn't stop. If it does get backed up in here for some reason, that there's a lane for those people who are turning left into this to move into, and let traffic can continue up into Publix. So we're working with Publix on that. We had a challenge working with Publix. I got to tell you, they are not responsive as an entity, especially their real estate folks. The guys on the ground here at the store are great, but when you're dealing with their corporate, we've had a lot of challenges. We've spent 6 months trying to get an agreement with them. We went back and forth on a variety of different things, and each time they just said no. They wouldn't approve anything. We finally did get this plan approved, and we got an agreement with them to get into additional discussions about how we can improve this site plan for them and for us. So we feel very confident and comfortable that we've got a good agreement with Publix, and we've gotten their attention, and we have a relationship now. Okay, so that's the basis of it. There are a couple of additional things that we'll talk about in the strategic planning presentations that we think are going to help, but this is a big change for the gate. We think that this is going to help a lot of people. You think about going to the gate. If you live in Club Course, you can get in the right lane right away because you just go through and turn right. If you live the rest of Sea Pines, you can stay in the left lane and continue through. You could still merge if you were in the right lane. If you chose to go to the right lane because the line or the number of vehicles was shorter, you can still merge back. But getting into Club Course through that right lane shouldn't be an issue because we're not selling these passes and issuing those passes at the gate any longer. Now, a couple caveats on that. Late at night, when we're not busy, we will still shut down our operation. This kind of configuration gives us the opportunity to build the scale and to bring back down. So our operating costs should not be significantly higher than what they are today. Obviously, during those times when we're really busy, we'll have multiple lanes open. Those times when we're not really busy, we will not have those lanes open. And the same thing, same intention at night as we go to the right lane for all guests who are coming in. We're not selling passes late at night anyway, so those guests can come in, go to the right lane, and clear on through, and we'll just man it with one person as we do today. So these are the thoughts and plans. We think it's a big change. There are more on top of this that we'll be discussing through the strategic plan. Okay. and we'll do questions at the end. Good. Okay. Thank you very much. And who do we have up? Ah. Oh, yes, that's right. I'm sorry. Okay. Emergency Reserve Fund, the other key points that were in our original long-range strategic plan were financial sustainability. And that's one area that we need to do a lot of detailed work and take you through what's going on from a financial stability perspective. We have updated a reserve study, as many of you know, and we have updated a comprehensive, or completed a comprehensive stormwater study. And those have pretty significant impacts on what we think we need to do for the future. And we'll be talking to you more in detail about those as we go through the update to the strategic plan. And then sources of revenue. That was certainly, where are we going to come up with funding to do this? And we think we have a balanced plan, and we'll be sharing that with you as well. And getting your feedback on that and thoughts about how we might be able to improve that. And then, of course, the two things that we just talked about from a lifestyle perspective, which is, improving that gate so that it's a better experience coming in for everybody, as well as the landscaping that we have had challenges with and the condition of some of the older planting beds. While we're still trying to keep it very natural, it still takes work to do that, and it takes good, healthy plants to do that. So that will be coming up in more detail as well. So with that, now I can move on to Victoria. Victoria?
Well, thank you. Good morning. Well, guys, the visitors are here, aren't they? So we get asked all the time about questions about the gate. How many transactions, how many passes, what type of passes, how much revenue. So we decided now we're going to put that historical information on the website. So it is on Sea Pines Living. It will be updated quarterly. It is under the section for Gate Entry Committee. You'll see charts, you'll see historical, and like I said, I will update that quarterly. So I wanted to show you the slides that are currently on the website so you're familiar with them and you can look. And obviously, if you have any questions, we can answer those at the end. Okay? First of all, this is a pie chart showing you in 2017 how many passes were called in. Okay? The big gray this is your guests. You called in 104,000 passes for your guests and family. Now, with the show of hands, tell me what month is the most popular for calling in passes? April. That's right. April. That's right. Okay. You've got the Sea Pines Resort, you have your business plans, and then you have your timeshares. Just thought that was kind of interesting information. Yep. Okay, this is your gate pass revenue. This is the revenue, the money that is collected at the gates. Okay? You see in 2013 to 14, we raised the fee effective April 1st of 2014 from $5 to $6. Okay? Then in 17, you see that increase because effective June 1st in 17, the daily commercial pass went from $6 to $10. Those are your daily, your lawn guys, your pest control coming in. If you've got a decal on the side of your vehicle indicating a commercial vehicle, it's $10. Okay? Here is your short-term rental pass. These are the short-term rentals. You rent your house for a week. It is $15 per car per week to come in here. The fee went in 2013 from $10 to $15 per week. You can see this number is going up. More and more people are renting their homes on a short-term basis. Next. And finally, this is your annual decals. These are your fleet of vehicles, your greeneries, your lawn care, your pest control, your pool people, that they come in so often that they don't want to pay $10 every time, so they go ahead and buy an annual pass. And in 17, it went up because those passes increased across the board by $25. So that's your increase in your revenue. We also attribute a lot of that to the implementation of the $10 because more and more of these contractors were saying, well, I'm not going to pay $10. It's better for me to buy an annual pass. Okay, and now, then this is transactions at the gate. This is not dollars. This is actual number of transactions at the gate. Okay, the numbers for 16 and 17, I've adjusted them a little to try and mitigate for the hurricane. So obviously the last quarter of 2016, the volumes were down, and the first quarter of 17, the volumes were up because of all the contractors coming in here. So I tried to get the numbers to make them a little more even and equitable. So you're seeing the actual number of transactions at the gate is going down. And again, this information is all available on the website. So if you have any questions, we'll answer them at the end. Thanks.
Thank you, Victoria. Good morning, everyone. My name is Amanda Sutcliffe-Jones. I am the CSA Director of Communications. This morning, walking through a couple of different agenda items. I'll first begin with the slide that Brett Martin showed at the annual meeting on Monday, but just wanted to recap it for everybody on the audience as well as joining us via video. We conducted a community survey of our property owners just recently, and we sent out 6,874 surveys. We received 2,649 completed surveys. That's a great response rate. 38.5% of you responded to that survey. So let me just take a moment to thank each of you that completed the survey. That was a big part of what our big goal of mine for 2018 is to get some feedback from you to be able to provide it to the board, to the committee, to the staff. So I really, really appreciate those who took the time to fill that out. So what does that mean? 2,332 different households or individual households were represented within that survey response rate. Great news for us, very exciting. You can see the 2015 survey. We did a similar survey in October of 2015, similar to the one that we just got done doing, and you can see the improvement rate for the response rate overall. So we're very excited to have more people feedback and more comments coming from our property owners. We're excited to announce that on May 17th at 2 p.m. here in this room, we will be joined by USCB. The University of South Carolina Beaufort was the vendor that we worked with to conduct the survey. They will be in audience and giving a presentation of the results of the survey. We are working on getting a webinar set up for that meeting, and then we are going to be doing reservations for this room by Eventbrite seat reservations. We are limited to about 124 seat capacity, so if you're unable to get a seat through the Eventbrite registration in person, you're more than welcome to join via webinar, and you'd be able to see the same slides and hear in live time the presentation. So again, thank you for your time and feedback in that survey. Upcoming meetings. We do have some upcoming meetings in May. We have our ASPO Board of Directors meeting in this room. It's going to be on May 17th at 9 a.m. We have, like I just mentioned, the community survey presentation. I'll be sending out the information for the event as well as the webinar and Eventbrite seat ticket registrations later this week. We have our CSA board meeting on May 22nd at 3 p.m. It'll be here in this room. And then on May 30th, we have a community blood drive scheduled. It'll be out here at the Sea Pines Community Center parking lot. So if you're interested in donating blood, please come on out. You don't have to sign up for an appointment, but if you'd like to be seen at a certain appointment time, you can do that. We'll be sending out the link in this week's email for you guys. So this slide. Questions, comments, concerns, feedback, please give them to us. If you have something that we can help with or that you need an answer to, please email us directly. This is my email address. info@csacpines.com comes straight to Amanda Jones. So it's really important that if you have something that you need to get an answer to, that you're reaching out to us, to CSA. If it's not a question that we can answer, maybe it's a question for the Sea Pines Resort, or maybe it's a question for the town of Hilton Head, or maybe it's a question for another commercial partner, I'll direct you to the right place. But if it's a question that I can answer, that's my job to do so. So I really want to be able to get that feedback to CSA. Info@csacpines.com is the easiest way to do that. Alternatively, you can come into CSA. We're located at 175 Greenwood Drive, just right down the street on Greenwood. You can visit our website. You can call us. Our phone number is 843-671-1343. We're here to help, so please reach out to us. And with that, I will pass it over to Russell Fredericks, who is the Director of Maintenance for CSA. Russell?
Good morning. How's everyone doing? Good. Glad to be here this morning. Quickly, I was trying to get ready for work today. And anyone have a puppy at home? Anyone? I almost lost all my shoes as I was trying to get ready. I'm like, Cody, where the heck are you going with that? Come back here. Anyway, nonetheless, puppies are a challenge. Landscaping in sea pines, Brett talked about it briefly in his presentation, but a lot of the landscaping, as we know, throughout the community needs updating. I mentioned this in one of the previous presentations, but we are working diligently down at Lighthouse Road and Plantation Drive to improve the overall appearance and aesthetics down there. We're installing a new brick wall, so you might have seen this in your travels. In front of the brick wall will be a new display of annuals that will change out as we do with the rest of the displays throughout Sea Pines. Behind the brick wall, there will be a landscaping component as well. So we're really excited about this project. It'll be a real element in Sea Pines, a real focal point. Sea Pines bridges, we talked about this quite a bit. We're still working through pricing with our contractors as well as the permitting. We hope to start this project in mid to late summer, but really excited about it. We'll be installing 2 new bridges at Beach Walks 25 and 26, and there's an existing bridge. You can see it on the map here on the corner of Greenwood and Sea Pines Drive. That existing timber bridge is in pretty rough shape and needs updating. So we're planning, as if everything lines up from a budget perspective, to execute these 3 new timber bridges in Sea Pines. And you can see here in some of the photos, this is what the bridges will look like, and ARB has approved this with this new stainless steel cable. And from a safety perspective, that will really enhance that area. As you're coming down Sea Pines Drive, you'll be able to see any pedestrians that are on the bridge. I know there were some concerns, the proximity of the bridge to the intersection. We'll be installing additional signage in the area to alert the public, that there are pedestrians that will be crossing the road there. So all 3 crossings at 25, 26, and 24 will have new signs that we'll install as part of this project. Road work. Brett mentioned this as well, Greenwood Corridor. Greenwood Drive is in real rough shape. So we're working with our engineers closely. We're also looking at future plans for Greenwood Drive, as Brett mentioned, working with our engineers to develop a plan and look at future plans for parks, pocket parks and other things that might be along Greenwood Drive. But we are planning to do this fall if everything lines up from a budget perspective. So we're making some headway with our engineers. We'll have a traffic plan, hopefully very shortly, that we'll be able to announce. As probably nobody's probably going to be happy with that, but we'll try our best. Sprunton Pond and Sea Pines Drive, another real eyesore that's been there for many years. So this railing that's on the marsh side, we'll be replacing that in the next couple of weeks. Again, we really want to stay with the same design as the timber bridges, so to have a consistent theme throughout the community. Beach marker signs. David spoke about this quite a bit in his presentations. Our crews are out there installing new signage, which combines all the existing signs into one, which states no parking along the beach walks. So again, this is a real improvement for the community, and it really kind of cleans up the overall look. Lawton Canal Leisure Trail Bridge. This is another timber bridge that we'll be replacing this fall. We're working with an engineer on design, and we're also, more than likely, this design will be very similar to the Sea Pines timber bridges. Lot 4. We'll be doing some more tree work this coming week. There's some additional trees that have died in that area, so the work is pretty extensive. We also have some landscape enhancements that are planned. We'll be starting on that right after the tree work is completed. Just a few other mentions. Our surveying contractor has been working on Sea Pines Drive. Our next step is to work with an engineer on developing some plans. So that will be occurring this summer. Deer Island Bridge. We've looked at this quite a bit. We're still working with our engineers, and we have to look at our budget as well to see where we could allocate some funds, but the bridge is in need of repairs or possible replacement. We are really looking at the repair option at this time, but again, it's really, something that we have to look for a budget perspective. So more to come on that. We're hoping to possibly do something down there later this year. Landscape enhancements at the Ocean Gate. Brett mentioned this as well. We had a lot of damage from Irma and the snowstorm, so we've been out there replacing plant material over the last few weeks. There was more to do. We removed a lot of those old junipers that were at the gate, so right now some of those areas are pine strawed, but we will be making some additional improvements at both areas. Mosquito spraying, 'tis the season. They're coming along. Saw those love bugs flying around the other day too, but nonetheless, mosquito season is here, so we'll be starting to spray in mid-May. And our next flower changeout will be coming up in June. We might move the location of that, as I mentioned the last time, as we really had a lot of folks coming down for those flowers. So I'll work with Toby on a new location. One other mention on the turtle trackers and Sea Turtle Project. We're really excited to help out with that. So I'll be working with you guys on the collection of some bamboo for putting around those turtle nests. So without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Mr. David Henderson.
Thank you, Russell, and good morning to everyone. If you attended last month's coffee, you may have remembered that Russell had disclosed that he had built a secret tunnel for Toby as part of the drainage system, and you may also recall that I was envious and at the time in need such a tunnel, and made a request, and I did want to say thank you to Russell for providing a prototype of my escape tunnel. I've never been one to look a gift horse in the mouth, so we have some work to do. And there was a hint of light at the end of the tunnel. Why I couldn't get through it, I could see, but the note on the end really let me know what was going on. Thank you, Russell. Oh, if you can't read it, due to budget cuts, the light at the end of the tunnel has been turned off. All right, thanks. All right, let's get serious and let's talk about the Forest Preserve. It's been a recurring topic at this meeting ever since August, I think, when we started doing the cleanup work post Hurricane Matthew. And I just want to start by saying I appreciate everyone's patience. If you have visited the preserve during that time, there have been periodic closings as we have worked through this process of trying to restore our natural treasure. I am pleased at this time to announce that all areas that were accessible prior to Hurricane Matthew are now open. So I've been showing you this map with closure areas on it in previous meetings, and as of today, it is all open. Now, there are a couple areas that frankly we just couldn't get to before things got really busy that we would like to get to later. It would likely be later this year, fall, if the ground conditions will allow us. And that's some of the work near the entrance road along the main road, Fish Island Trail. And there's also a block that is behind Lot 1 off of Greenwood Drive, where there's still a significant amount storm damage that we'd like to go in and mitigate. I've been showing you a series of before and after pictures, normally at the logging decks, which is arguably the ugliest part of the operation. And I did show you the picture on the left at last month's meeting. This is near the electrical substation off of Lawton Canal Road. This area arguably received some of the worst direct wind damage to an upland area. And you can see the significant number of trees that were down. The photo on the right is that same area. There is the electrical substation. It's a little bit hard to see, but you can see it in both photos, so you can see that you're looking at the same area. Now, in this area, there was a beautiful live oak grove that was right there. And we had 2 mature live oaks that were physically blown over during Matthew, and we had 2 more that are still standing, but that are struggling, one of which you can see in that photo on the right. So we will, in the next few weeks, be going in and planting 6 8-inch live oaks. These are the large-size live oaks that you've seen, Power Beach that ARB provided, and at Fraser Circle. So we're going to be doing that here in the next few weeks to try to help restore that area and try to cover up some of the ugly that's there. We also, in limited areas, have already installed some pine seedlings. You can see the photo on the left, and it is a seedling. It's very small. These are specifically longleaf pine seedlings, and they are in a grass stage, and they will be on that stage for a year or 2 in which they put down a taproot, and then once that taproot is established, then they go into the rocket stage, and they will then start getting vertical pretty quickly. But the photo on the right shows the install in progress. This was last week, and this is the area that is in the way back near the service road access to Cordillo Parkway at the backside of Lake Mary. It was another logging deck area and had a disproportionate amount of trees that had to come down. So more to come. For the rest of the preserve, we are really in a kind of a hurry up and wait stage in that we are developing our land management plan. With the exception of these 2 areas where the plantings have or will occur, the rest of the growing season is going to be wait and see. So we're going to see how succession happens, what comes back, and then make appropriate management decisions to allow us to reach our objectives. So you will not see a lot of activity as far as direct land management through the rest of the growing season, but there will be more news to come on that. All right, let's switch to the beach. Again, for many meetings have been talking about OCRM and their jurisdictional lines that they establish every 7 to 10 years. This has direct impact on all oceanfront owners, but arguably, if it were to affect property values, could have an effect on all residents in the community. We've used this same slide for several times in which the state OCRM was going through a current the process of revising these lines. It's called a baseline and a setback line. And depending on where those lines are set and how it falls on your beachfront property, it could potentially affect what you could or could not do should we have another storm and the need to rebuild occur. There were some pretty drastic changes during this last cycle, and specific to us, a lot of those changes were due to the fact that when they gathered their data to set the new lines, it was after Hurricane Matthew. So where they previously would have marked a primary dune was no longer there. And so we saw some pretty significant landward movements of these lines, and it affected the whole state. And as you can imagine, they were in a rush. They had a legislative mandate and a deadline. And what happened is that there was a lot of comment and concern and lobbying by coastal folks. And as a result of that, they have extended the deadline on their public comment period at least twice, and currently it's July 15th. The reason why they were extending that public comment period is that there was a proposed legislation working its way through the system that would address many of the issues that this latest redesign or redrawing of these lines presented. And so what I can report to you is that that legislation has been ratified by the General Assembly yesterday and is sitting on the governor's desk. He'll have until Monday, May 7th, to either sign, veto, or let the act become law without his signature. just a few key elements of the act as it is now is that it expressly changes the policy that OCRM is working off of from one of a beach retreat to one of beach preservation. It sets a schedule for preparing new lines and explicitly provides for notice and opportunity and public input in the process. It also will make the raw data that they used in setting those lines or proposing those lines available to the public. It allows for a county, a municipality, or organization to formally challenge lines on behalf of its landowners where these landowners have signed or given permission in writing. So previously, we have 170-ish beachfront homes in Sea Pines. And if you had an issue with your lines as they were proposed, each of you as individuals would have to go through this process to challenge that. This new legislation will allow a county, a municipality, or an organization that's representing homeowners to collectively represent them. The current act does maintain the prohibition on no future seaward movement of the baseline, but essentially they're mandating that OCRM, when setting this current baseline, must use the most seaward location of the following. It's the baseline that was established the last time they went through this process, which was 2008 to 2012. The baseline that was proposed most recently in 2017, which is what kind of caused all of this, or any baselines that were established by legal challenges that were initiated before January 1st of this year. And that is important because there are some areas in Sea Pines where during the previous 2008 to 2012 cycle, there was a question on some of the data that they were using, and there were some owners that were able to get some administrative court relief, and that should still remain in effect. They are still using historic data when establishing setback lines. That's not necessarily good for us, but it is probably to the benefit of the majority of the state in other areas where the historic data is favorable for them. Two more quick things on this act is that it does, and this is significant, it prohibits data from being collected within 18 months of a named storm from being used to establish the baselines. So it will prevent the situation that we had last year in which they had gathered their data just after Hurricane Matthew. This will prevent that from being able to happen again. And then lastly, it established that the next cycle of creating new baselines, so after we get through this process, can start no sooner than January 1st of 2024. A couple other quick things on the beach. Lower right, sand fencing. If you've been on the beach lately in Sea Pines, you have noticed this work. This is being conducted and funded by the town of Hilton Head Island. They are sand fencing the entirety of the island. They started in the Canvasback area and worked down to East Beach Lagoon area some weeks ago. They then left, went to some other places, and then most recently have come back, picked up where they left off in the East Beach Lagoon area, and now they're proceeding south. The photo on the lower right I took, it is at Piping Plover Road, looking towards the beach club. And it may be difficult for you to see, but that at the time I took that photo, that fencing had not been in place more than a couple days. But even after a couple days, you can still see the rises and falls and those dune contours beginning to change as a result of that sand fencing being there. So this is just photographic evidence, if you will, as to why we are still maintaining our moratorium on the rebuilding of beach boardwalks. This is from beach marker 18 towards Canvasback. That moratorium is still in effect because, as anticipated, these dune contours are changing and will continue to change, and we will continue to evaluate, and the intent would be to lift that moratorium as soon as we could. But we don't want anybody to build a boardwalk now that would then, because of changing dune contours, cause an issue later. All right, switch gears a little bit. Community signage update. as you may have seen coming in either of the gates, we have begun construction. This photo I took Sunday at the Ocean Gate. It's changed since then. The roof has since gone on. But you can see it starting to come together. And then over to the right, this is the conceptual rendering of the digital sign as to what it will look like. So it's coming along. And we do anticipate having the construction of the surround completed in the next week or two. And then there will be some period of time where it will look finished but won't be on. We're going to try to minimize that, but that's when all the determinations are made on cables and internet access and developing the, installing the software that will then run these campaigns. So we will try to minimize that, but you should be seeing some good change up there soon. All right, let's go to some fun stuff. Our alligator research project. I've talked about that briefly, I think, at last coffee. I just wanted to start by recognizing the 5 groups of folks that funded this and made this possible, which either directly or indirectly is you. So thank you. But I did want to recognize them: CSA, ASPO, Forest Preserve Foundation, the Salty Dog and H2O going in together, and then the Sea Pines Resort. So they each made a financial contribution to support this research project. This is a flyer that the Clemson University and the Nemours Wildlife Foundation have put together, just a one-page quick general information in which they talk about it being an alligator movement and behavior study. And it says that they will work with Clemson, Nemours, state and local biologists, and area communities. So we are one of those area communities. There are a total of 5 that they are working on. We are the southernmost of the communities along the coast. They are working at the Yawkey Wildlife Center, which isn't a community, up near Georgetown. They're also working with Kiowa Island, Fripp Island, Spring Island, and then us. And at each of those 5 locations, they captured and outfitted, or will, 6 alligators with GPS transmitters. So a total of 30 alligators from Georgetown down to Hilton Head will be outfitted with these GPS transmitters. And they also have visual numbered tags. And on this flyer, if you see one and want to report it, it tells you how to do that. We do have a limited number of copies of these available here, and I think we could make it available online as well if you needed it. So here's how it worked. So we conducted capture in here last week. You can see over on the left there's a surgical attachment of a GPS transmitter. Can you highlight the transmitter? It's a little hard to see, but and so that is attached to the 2 main scoots at the back of the head or the base of the neck, and that is surgically attached. And then this is a alligator picture of an alligator release. Once the samples are collected, the transmitter is outfitted, and they are released, they make often a good photo op. So as their mouth is secured and you pull that tape off, they often like to give you a smile as they back into the water. And we have a video of that to show you. So we'll play this and then I'll talk a little bit about it.
Classic. Yeah, look over there at Thomas. He did it. Thomas did it.
You guys kind of fussing Thomas already.
He barked me too.
All right.
Good job, y'all. Thank you.
Good job.
Very good, team. Nice big one.
All right, so that particular gator, you want to go ahead and go to next one? So this is a map of Sea Pines showing the locations of the 6 alligators that were outfitted with transmitters. We have one. It was a 9-foot 2-inch male on number 8 of the country club up here. We had a 9-foot 5-inch female, which is exceptionally large for a female alligator, that was captured in the Forest Preserve in Lake Mary. The 11-foot 6-inch male that you just saw the video of was captured along the bank of Lake Joe in the Forest Preserve. We had I think it was just at 9 feet male at the end of South Live Oak. And then we had 2 on the Harbortown course. We had a 10-foot 10-inch male off of number 11. That was the male that the still photo with the mouth open, that was a picture of that male. And then we had a 7-foot 5-inch female also on Harbortown between number 3 and number 7. So we're really excited about this. We had a lot of good interaction with residents and visitors alike. They are capturing at Kiowa as we speak, and then they will finish at Spring Island. We do anticipate having the data available for public review. The specifics on the timing are yet to be worked out, but it is fully the intent, working with our 5 funding entities to make this data available. And we really hope to accomplish a lot of scientific things, but we also hope to get everyone kind of engaged and aware and interested, and hopefully throw a little bit of education in to boot. Amanda said it will be. So that video I took, and then you can also go to Island Packet. There was an article that the Island Packet did, and the reporter took her own video, which is somewhat similar to that one that is available online. And I have 2 little quick things to end with. One is just last week we did our annual stocking of catfish in Lake Joe. So the fishing is good right now, and I mentioned this to you, so if you have any children, grandchildren, neighbors, you are allowed, if they're 14 years of age or younger, to take them out to fish for catfish and to participate with them. But this is a time after they're stocked where often the fishing's pretty good. Just wanted to show a short video of how we do that. A few years ago, we were doing that, and occasionally you'll have one that dies or gets a little disoriented during the travel. These look great, but a few years ago we had one that came out and it was up at the top and a little sluggish, and an osprey swooped down and grabbed it. And I turned to the provider and I told him I'm not paying for that one. So, the last thing I had, and I appreciate your time, is there'll be more information coming, but we are working with the Forest Preserve to have and develop a series of what's being called Explore Your Preserve. And so these are going to be very probably walking based, very small opportunities for you to get out and to see the Forest Preserve, whether it's the recent cleanup work that we've been doing, possibly the shell ring, a variety of topics. But this is a work in progress, but we do anticipate trying to do something later this month, so stay tuned. Thank you for your time.
Good morning. Hopefully we'll try to keep the alligators that were tracked off the menu at our next party in the Forest Preserve. That's exciting stuff there, David. I'll try to make it really quick this morning because we are short of time. Just a quick security update. For the most part, we're moving along pretty good. We're busy. The gates are busy. I did bring some numbers that I just wanted to talk about as we get into the discussion at the end about the tournament. But prior to the tournament, these are unaudited numbers that I'm going to talk about. Before the tournament, and this is just activity, sales at the gate, and this is for the week prior to the tournament, 11,368 vehicles that we did some type of transaction with. That doesn't count all vehicles, that's just a transaction vehicle. During the week of the tournament, there was 2,000. So you see the drastic change when we moved all that parking off-site and what the gates look like during the week of the tournament. So it was a huge change, and then we picked right back up to 6,300 vehicles the week after the tournament. So it's a big change. So it's tournament time, it's much different inside of Sea Pines than what it used to be in the past. Burglary. We did on April 23rd, had a forced entry burglary, and it was my fault. We did report this in the wrong area. It was in the Green Heron area where this forcible entry occurred at. property owner was home. There was an alarm involved in this. But the location, I mean, it was in the Greenwood area, but my information to you is to make sure it doesn't matter where the burglary is. If you see something, say something. It's been quite some time since we've had a forced entry burglary. This particular night, we did bring the Sheriff's Office K-9 in. We're not exactly sure where the individual came from. We speculate that they could have come in via the beach on a bicycle, but we're not for sure. So please keep an eye out if you see something that looks odd, and a lot of you do. We get the calls, and for the most part, it turns out to be nothing, and that's fine. But if you see something, please don't hesitate to give us a call. Tower Beach, we are operating Tower Beach this week. It's Thursday through Sunday, and we'll have staff there between the hours of 8 and 4. Next week, we're fully staffed all 7 days, and we'll run all of next week from 8 to 4, and then we will get into the extended hours to the late evening hours once we can get our college kids and our high school students to give us the additional manpower. We can run it up hopefully to 8:30 at night to give you any assistance that you would need at Tower Beach. Short-term rental program we did start. You heard a lot of discussion about the vouchers and guests paying at the gate. That program did start on Monday. We are adding extra staff this coming Saturday. So I think this will really be our first test. I mean, we were busy last week. We're expecting a big weekend this coming weekend as well. The weather looked really good. On another note, Sea Pines Resort did tell me they are opening, it's not the grassy lawn, I like to call it the grassy lawn at Plantation Golf Club, but it will be open for parking. Last weekend, if you had the opportunity to ride down at the beach club on Saturday, they kind of parked all over the place, the leisure path everywhere. They will have their lot open this coming weekend. But the short-term rental program, for the most part, it is brand new. It started Monday. We'll really have our true test coming up this Saturday. The week of the May 21st, we are starting to work with the ABDI software company. They will be on site for 3 days. We're starting that initial gathering of data to get it to them to start uploading into the system. So we'll keep you updated as this new software moves along. The stuff that Brett talked about earlier as it relates to the gallery of shops, ABDI is going to expand as we move in that direction of another structure, another building somewhere away from the gate. So there'll be some planning. We'll give you some update of where we're at. But we're starting the week of May 21st. It's not going to take a week to get this done. We're talking really going live, probably January of next year. So it's not going to happen overnight. June 1st, it's hurricane season, my favorite time of the year. Please plan. We are working with the town of Hilton Head. There is going to be some new changes as it relates to hurricane season. We have applied for our reentry passes. It's a brand new program that they're rolling out as far as getting first responders back in, people that help us clean the roadways, that kind of stuff. So we have started that, but it does start June 1st. Dispatch outage. We are going to have an outage. The telephone lines coming in. Amanda's going to send that information out. We're working with Hargray. We're expanding the fiber network inside of our building, especially in my office, in the dispatch office. We have 3 TVs. We're going to have 60 some odd cameras, and I need more bandwidth to run these cameras. So there is going to be a disconnection of telephone service, and we're trying to do this to start this plan at midnight. So hopefully there won't be anything taking place where you would need to call us, but the telephone lines would be down. We'll send that information out in advance. They'll tell you just call 911. Well, we've got a plan set up with Beaufort County to be able to respond. But it's going to be down probably for about 2 hours before they can reconnect the fiber, and we'll go back live again. We are working, final thing on the security side, we are working with Uber. Working with Uber, that's just to use that word loosely. They are coming out with a new program called Uber Eats. So apparently instead of requesting Uber to take you somewhere, you can have them bring you a burger to your house now. So we're working with their attorneys, getting that finalized, so you should probably be seeing something about Uber Eats, and it's going national throughout the U.S., and we're putting the final touches on that. The Heritage. I want to bring Steve up here in a little bit. It was a good tournament this year. It was a shame that we had some weather. Actually, the shirt that I'm wearing today, I was going to wear for our opening ceremony, but instead I was in pajamas and a raincoat. But they had a great plan set up for the 50th. It's a shame that we didn't get to have the opening ceremony. We did have a small ceremony on the 18th tee. Some past champions came back, and I think at the time we were finishing that up, I think it was raining sideways. It was pretty tough. It's the first time in a long time that we did not fire the cannon, and that I can remember. So it just didn't go as planned, but we can't control the weather. But all in all, it was a good tournament. I do want to bring Steve up. I know he wants to say give you a thank you for the on behalf of the tournament to the property owners. Steve Wilmon is the director for the Heritage. He's also a Sea Pines property owner. And let Steve say a few words.
Thank you, Toby. This was I promise to be short and sweet. Toby and I were talking about a few things today, but thank you. It's truly, as I've talked about before, a team effort with regards to the tournament and the effort that's put forth by Brett and Toby on a year-round basis with regards to being able to produce this event, to put this event on for the eyes of the world to see us is pretty tremendous. And again, I thank the efforts of everybody in addition to this, the resort. We're currently still counting money and paying bills, hopefully counting more money than paying the bills. A lot of people think you take a vacation the week after, but these actually 4 or 5 weeks after the tournament are almost as tough as leading up to the event. We're still looking for 2 courtesy cars, so if you see a BMW out there, do let us know. But as Toby mentioned too, just again, I'll be brief and I'll be around to answer any questions. For all the preparation and the team effort that went into the effort of the celebration of the 50, it was about a 3.5-year project, and it was unfortunate on the front end that we canceled the opening ceremonies, and then on the back end we actually canceled the closing ceremonies too. But the 5 days in between was pretty special, and the unique thing about us even going off early and knowing with social media, our TV ratings were 25% higher than last year when it was in the can, and obviously it was a decision that was put together by many different entities, the PGA Tour along with CBS and our title sponsor to start the final round early, but it was the right call, and we're still, like I said, we're still in the process of a lot of debriefs and recaps and planning for the future and trying to get better to do better so we'll be better next year. But thank you all for opening your doors, opening the front gates to this wonderful community that I feel blessed to be a part of. I feel very fortunate to be a part of something as special as the RBC Heritage presented by Boeing, and we want to keep on going and get better to be better. So thank you again, and appreciate the time.
It was a good week, and I do know, and Steve mentioned this, it is tough on the property owners. Leading up, it's a 2-month setup of the golf course. There's a lot of give and take on behalf of the property owners in the week of the tournament, and not if you live in the Harbortown area, not having the guests come to your home because we're restricting access on the roadway. So we know that, and we do appreciate the patience. If you live on Harbortown and you have some open space that is either owned by Sea Pines Resort or by CSA that has never had a piece of equipment in before, consider yourself fortunate. That's probably going to change. The tournament is it's growing. It's a bit different tournament than what it was 25 years ago, and that's a good thing for the tournament. It's a good thing for Sea Pines. Next year, we're moving CBS, so the 15th area around 15 Green is going to be a whole new different look next year. So we ask for your patience. I know it's a tough week, but for the most part, things went really good. Hang tag distribution went really well, and I'll touch on this. I am looking to make a change with the new ABDI program and a decal for a property owner that traditionally would come in to pick up a hang tag, where we are considering putting a different color decal on your car where you don't have to come get a hang tag. So if that means that 4,100 of you didn't have to come to my office, that would be a great thing. So we are looking to do something with the decals because we're going to have a decal change out with the ABDI program. So we're looking to hopefully make some changes to make it less painful for you guys during the week of the tournament. But all in all, it was really good. No major. I think all the arrests that occurred was after the tournament. They tried to drink Tito's Dry, but it didn't happen. Next year, we're going to have sushi and sake now that Satoshi Kadera is our new champion. So we're excited about that. But he's a nice young man, and I think I wish we could have aired the closing ceremonies, and I'll close with this because it was pretty funny because he's not a very big guy by no stretch, and we were looking for tartan jackets for him to wear. And the smallest staff is Kerry Corbett. So that's the jacket that he actually put on, was Kerry's jacket. So it was really good, but it was a great week. It was a long week, and it's a star for Sea Pines and for Hilton Head to have this event here, and we do appreciate that. And with that, last but least, if you were at the tournament and you lost something, if you lost your false teeth, we found them. A lady's watch, we still have, your eyeglasses, several umbrellas, and raincoats. So if you lost any of those items, we still have them. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Toby. And again, the Lost and Found is located at 175 Greenwood Drive at the CSA Administration Building if you lost any of those. Oh, my apologies. Two separate Lost and Founds. The Lost and Found for the Heritage is at the Heritage Foundation. So thank you, Toby. All right, we're going to take a quick 5-minute meeting break. Refresh your coffee, grab a donut, use the restroom if you need to, and then we'll be back in just a moment, 5 minutes. The annual meeting report for the 2017 annual report has been published. We have it on our website. We had a couple extra copies at the annual meeting. If you didn't have a chance to grab one and you'd like to, we have some up front right here, so please take advantage of those. If you're joining via video, you can find it on our website as well. It's at seapinesliving.com. A couple other things. The turtle trackers, when they made mention of their slide, we do have copies of this. This went out via email yesterday to the property owners as well from CSA Communications. Just a couple of helpful reminders, who to contact if you find an injured turtle, contacting codes enforcement, and then if you find a deceased adult turtle. So very, very helpful information. Thank you to the turtle trackers for that information. We made mention of the blood drive coming up, so if you'd like to grab a handy handout, we'll have this through our website as well, through our email, but if you're in person and like to grab one, you can do so. And if you're interested in learning more about those alligators that David talked about and we saw that video of, we have the handout here as well. So please take advantage of those handouts. And without further ado, we will open the question and answer session. So Brett will take questions, and David and I will come around with the microphone. So I do ask that you use a microphone. If you can announce yourself, that would be helpful as well. And the microphone's important to speak into clearly so we can pick it up on the video for those folks watching afterwards. So Brett?
Okay, questions. Let's start with Dana. Right here.
Thanks a lot. Great presentations, by the way. It was very informative. Just a suggestion, and I spoke with Russell about this also, my husband and I did, with the gallery of shops. Mm-hmm. We have a great opportunity with that. If we could improve the bicycle access, because right now you come out through Club Course, and if you want to stay on the public side, you have to go through that narrow little road. You cross over, you go against the traffic up Greenwood Drive, you cut around. And I've seen people on the Fraser Circle, visitors who don't understand, and they're just all over the place trying to figure out how to navigate that area.
Be ready for the strategic plan. We've got some information on that, and we'll be showing that as we go through many of the additional options beyond gallery shops that have to do with additional traffic challenges as well as pedestrian and bicycle issues, and that is specifically one that's being addressed. Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay. Let's go to Alice.
The gallery project seems so sensible and logical, and really glad to see the presentation. When will it actually occur? When will it be functioning? Can you
Well-
give an estimate as to the time?
You know, I think it's 18 to 24 months from our close. We anticipate closing on the building in the next few days. So probably, we have to close by the 15th by our contract. So we anticipate doing that, trying to do it a little bit earlier if we can get all the title work completed in time. Let's go to Sue.
Actually, I have one question for Amanda. For the USCB survey, will they give us the raw data?
We will be producing that. So
Okay.
they will be presenting on May 17th at 2 p.m. the survey results, and then CSA will then put it on our website. So it will follow the presentation. We won't put it on the website until after the presentation is made, so that way if somebody wants to watch the video and be walked through the presentation materials, they can do so, but then we'll be able to post it following that meeting for you.
Okay. And Russell, I have a question about Plantation Drive and Lighthouse. That strikes me as being hardscape, which is not what our survey called for. Why did we decide to go with that and not just natural landscaping?
Regarding the Plantation Drive and Lighthouse, that's an area we wanted to beautify. I think the brick wall provides an accent for the plantings that will be around it. The annual plants are similar to other displays that we have around Sea Pines. So, and as far as that goes, that's not much of a departure.
Do we anticipate any more of these hardscape?
Well, yeah, and one of the things I want to make sure, and Russell can speak to it, you know, we had landscape timbers there before,
Right.
and there's a fairly good slope on that from the pathway down to the street level. So this will act as a nicer looking, really retention wall.
Okay. And the bridges, you mentioned the cost. What is the cost of those bridges to the walkways?
I'm still working through those final costs. I'm not 100% certain at this time.
Do we have an estimate?
It's in proximity anywhere from about 90 to 100,000 some odd dollars offhand.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, which one?
Either one.
Okay, we'll go back here first, and then I'll go back over to you, Liz.
Jerry Ginsburg, Plantation Drive. I'm curious, are we going to be still selling passes at the Ocean Gate when the Gallery of Shops is in place?
That's the intention right now. Yeah, I mean, we would certainly try to encourage people to utilize this and to not do that. We do, as Russell mentioned, we are also surveying Sea Pines Drive this year and doing engineering studies on what needs to happen there. We believe there's some opportunity at that gate to also make improvements to traffic flow, and in conjunction with it, we're doing the survey both inside the gate and outside the gate to continue on. There's some space there, and we think we can do a better job over there. But, you know, if people come to the gate and they didn't come from the west or north of Hilton Head, you know, some of those beach, the Caligny Plaza folks, you know, will probably be primarily coming down through there. But we've got measurements, and as Topi mentioned, you know, we're doing ABDI now. One of the things that we're going to have with ABDI is just data on when people are coming, what they're doing, and how much we have. Right now, we have very little data, other than the raw data that Victoria mentioned about just total volume of some of these transactions, not all of them. So I think as we move forward, we will probably continue to make changes and to make improvements on that whole process of issuing passes and how people get into Sea Pines. My ultimate goal is no one stops at the gate. You know, that's my ultimate goal.
Is there any thought to making it 2 lanes?
Unless you're in the wrong place.
Is there any thought to making it 2 lanes at the entry there?
Yes.
I have a question either for Turtle Trackers or the resort. I've never seen one of their green turtles down at the beach club where everybody's going to the beach and digging holes and walking there at night.
The Sea Pines Beach Club?
Sea Pines Beach Club, yes, I'm sorry, yep. Can we get a sign up there, or is that possible? Or?
Steve?
Those are installed by the town?
No, the Turtle Trackers put those in, yeah. Oh, okay. Okay.
Okay, so I'm just going to recap. It sounds like the resort, we're going to have them work on getting them up for us, so that way they can have that communicated. Very good question. All right, Brett, we'll take your next question.
Right here.
Thank you. I'm assuming, Joni Harris, by the way, I'm assuming that you're going to have each of those booths at Publix manned, so 5 people manning booths?
During only peak times, I don't think we're going to need that, quite
Right.
frankly. You know, it gives us the room to do that, but as we put in this software, and as I said, I think we're 18 to 24 months out. If everything's working the way we'll probably do kiosks there.
Yeah, that was going to be my next question, is with the
I
software,
mean, that's
I would
our
anticipate
intention.
we want to move as much of that, automate as much as possible, have people be able to
Absolutely.
do it on their phones, as other people
Absolutely.
have suggested for a while.
Absolutely. But again, if sometimes things go down and we have the ability to put a man there, and if we don't have, we can also anticipate some challenges initially with any kind of a system like that. So we might have like a roving person that would help people get through the process, kind of like what you see at the airport when you go to one of those kiosks, and there's someone there to hopefully help you out if you have a challenge with it.
Yeah, Lisa Pianta. I have a question about Tower Beach. At one point, that automatic arm was activated by our decals. Is there a reason why that can't be brought back instead of having someone man those booths?
That's the intention. It's just getting the software established and getting the new decals to you to work that software appropriately.
Because that's been out for a couple years.
It has been, and it's taken us a couple years to identify the right software package and to get it purchased and get the contract, and that's where we're going. I mean, our
Didn't we
intention.
have it at one point?
It didn't work.
I thought it did.
No, it worked sometimes. We had tons of calls where it didn't work, and it was underpowered to do the job that we were asking it to do. And in this new software and new system will be a much more robust system to help us do that. Let's go to Dana.
Hi, I'm Dana Advocat from Deer Run Lane. I have a question for David about the beach. There are several people who are down at South Beach Club who are wondering if the fences are going to extend down and around the South Beach area. They are still worried about flooding. They had 12 feet of water after Matthew and about 6 after Hurricane Irma. And they are wondering if they are going to have any dune buildup down there.
According to what we've been told by the town, the sound fencing is for the entirety of the island. They are somewhere in the South Beach Lane area now at last report, and my understanding is that they will continue all the way down to Land's End, is my understanding.
Okay. The second question is about a seawall that's being built at Piping Plover. And I'm wondering how the building of that seawall has disturbed the fencing that you took a picture of and presented to us. And I know I've sent you all letters about the possibility of developing some guidelines that will help protect the community against one-off solutions that impact stormwater drainage. And if you all have given any thought to that.
I'd like to comment on the fencing. So the town contractor had to avoid that area with the fencing because of the ongoing construction work. And those homeowners will, at their expense, install sand fencing after their construction activities are completed, and vegetation.
Okay, could you answer my question about, I know you commented before to me personally about your opinion on the seawall, and I was wanting to know if CSA is considering expanding ARB guidelines to include structures like that seawall.
Well, we don't control the ARB guidelines, but I think that this topic that is fresh and new to us in understanding the concerns, we need to really look into it. What was there before acted as revetments already, as blockages, those swimming pools. And what they have done is created a longer barrier than they had before trying to protect their property. So it's going to take a pretty deep investigation into what could be done, what the ideal situations are, what should be done, and getting those recommendations to the ARB and see if they want to tackle that. In lieu of that, the only other challenge way to do that would be through some sort of a covenant enforcement, and that would be to revise the covenant to allow what you can and cannot build on those, and that's a much larger task for us, obviously, to try to get accomplished. And from what I've talked to various engineers, and experts. There are good reasons not to do it, and then there are good reasons for those properties to do it for themselves. So we have to work through that as well. But it's a new topic. I mean, it came upon us, and we don't have anything that prohibits that. The town has nothing that prohibits that. OCRM has nothing that prohibits that, and ARB has nothing that prohibits it.
Well, just so you'll know, I mean, I'm sure you all saw the article in the packet, and I received an email from Robert Young, who heads up the task force on ocean renourishment for South Carolina. It's a project that is funded by Duke and Western Carolina, and he said, you're quite right to be very worried about that seawall. So there are experts who do confirm that this might not be the best decision for all of us. Might be great for the 5 property owners. So I hope we do look into that.
Thank you, Dana.
Other
We have a
questions?
question over here. It's okay. Good morning.
Thank you. My name is Karen Wells, and I was hoping you could also give us some information on the timing of the project, what the pipes leading into the ocean are for, how high the seawall is going to be, and any other information you can share with the community.
David, do you have?
Yeah, Karen, I can provide some of that. The duration, we've been told, is 4 to 6 weeks is the duration of the project. Also, my understanding from what was submitted to ARB is that there will be a foot or 2 of the wall that will be above grade immediately after construction is completed, but then the ARB is requiring them to regrade with sand and with fencing and vegetation so that there is nothing above grade that is visible. And you had another question?
Yes, about the piping that's leading into the ocean. And along with that, there's been extensive tractor work on the beach itself.
I'm not familiar with the pipe. It's been a few days since I've been down there. And on the tractor work and the work on the property and the access, they will be required to restore the area to pre-project conditions. So if there's any sand that is disturbed, and there should not be any vegetation there because all that was renourished after the storm, they are responsible to reestablish that to pre-project conditions when they're done.
I know there have been some concerns expressed by folks related to the turtles, especially since turtle nesting season has begun. Have there been any discussions about when they're doing the tractor work currently at the opening of the season about how they're going to handle that on a day-to-day basis?
I'm not familiar. I just saw the quote from Amber in the article that they were concerned about the sediment fencing, that's the barrier that possibly be obstructing to a turtle. But beyond that, I've not had any conversations with them. I think the town and their natural resource person would probably be the better person to ask. I just don't have information on that.
As a final component here, what is the plan for sharing information with the community on this?
We don't have a lot of information to share other than what David has just spoken to.
Right.
Yeah, we sent out an email last week.
Mhm.
Go ahead.
No, thank you. When we sent out an email via our constant contact email system last week. Again, like the fellows up here mentioned, it's not a CSA project specifically, but as we get information, we can certainly send that out. But at this point, what David's just reiterated was the timeline that we've been made aware of, and we'll certainly communicate out any additional information if we get updates for you guys. So, the contractor is?
The permitting authority,
I know it's not us, or CSA, I know
Right.
it's not the town.
That's correct.
We've told them that they have to do anything in accordance with all required, whoever has jurisdiction. Maybe the answer to the question is, who is that jurisdiction that controls that?
The only,
And then Karen can secure that information
sure, so I'll just,
from the proper authority.
yeah, I'll just repeat that for everyone on video. The question was who has jurisdiction here? And the best that we've been able to determine, it's the Architecture Review Board. So it is on their private property. It is outside of the Beach Trust. It is outside or landward of OCRM jurisdictional lines and also outside of town jurisdiction.
And in my discussion with the ARB, they said, other than the fact that they're requiring mitigation to the extent that anything's compromised because it's below grade, they really didn't have much to say. They don't deal with engineering. It's not a vertical structure that's going to be above grade. But somebody had to approve and issue a permit. No? Is that who it is, Linda? Right. No, I understand.
It wasn't an actual permit issued, so. Right.
Okay, so we've had somebody that didn't have a chance to get a mic, and she's reiterated that DNR was the one, or the entity that gave permission in this circumstance. So thank you, Linda, for that feedback. Okay, Brett. Karen? Want to get it? Okay. Thank you, David.
Hi, Karen Kinderman. I was thinking of targeting Steve with this question, but not really because it relates to the blue beach chairs and umbrellas. Amber, by the way, had said she doesn't have great concerns about the sand fencing that's gone up, the way it's arranged, and it's pretty high up on the dunes, and there's openings through, and she's seen turtles make nests cozying up to the sand fence. But what we're more concerned about are, this year there seemed to be, at the blue chairs to the left of the orange, northward, a lot of chair boxes, like, are there 8?
5 going north, 3 going south.
And they're closer to, remember last year, a lot of the nests were removed because of the renourishment, so we kind of had a nesting nursery going on there, and there were a lot of nests in the area of the blue chairs. This year, we don't expect that because the turtles can go wherever they wish, but there's a lot of the blockage, it seems, from the chair boxes, and they've moved closer to the chairs. I understand there's need for emergency vehicles to get through as needed, and there's probably various requirements, but I just wanted to express the fact that there seem to be a lot of chair boxes. They're 4 feet long, and we do have concerns about that, and I have no idea where to address it.
Yeah, Shore Beach Services is the contractor for the TAN, and I believe, Steve, they're, are you still working with them? Okay. Absolutely. I mean, they should be in contact together. My understanding is the town is working with their contractor as well as Amber to get this all worked out. So,
The number for Shore Beach Services can be found on the Town of Hilton Head Islands website, just in case you need it. So you're welcome. Other questions?
Ellie McLaughlin, and I don't have a question, but I want to thank the resort and CSA for collaborating on a very lovely way for the handicapped. I'm handicapped this year. And to get to the tournament, you know, you had to go to CSA to pick it up, but it was the resort's idea, I believe. And you got a van from Lot 4, which took you to Harbortown Clubhouse. There you got your jitney, which would take you to any hole on the, on the golf course. And there were little people who would come around and pluck you from your corners to get out of there. So thank you very much. I got to go.
well, and to add to that, really, Steve and the Heritage Foundation, as a group, we worked together on that and wanted to make sure we could get people transported. And it's good to hear that it worked well. Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Other questions?
Hi, I'm Barry Barth. I really don't have a question, and I was talking awfully loudly there, sorry. But I think I wanted to echo what Dana said earlier, too, about what a great job the staff did today in their presentations. I mean, not that you don't do it every month, but as Mark and I commented each other, there was a little humor there that we haven't seen very often, and I thought it was very informative. So my 2 cents.
Thank you, Barry. Okay, anything else? We're not really giving David a tunnel, by the way.
Yeah, David's not getting
Sue?
I just have a question about the porta potty that's on the boardwalk that I saw on social media. Is that allowed?
It has been moved, or it's moving is imminent, but it will be moved to an adjacent private property. The second row home that's recently been demolished, permission's been secured by those owners on Piping Plover to place it there.
It actually has been moved, so potty gate is over.
Good.
And actually, do you know what has been authorized for use of Walkway 23 for each of those projects, both the house rebuild and the seawall?
The only thing that's been allowed is access to the property. That's it. And I think they were originally parking vehicles on the beach walk. That's been stopped. But to access for material and equipment, they have been permitted to do that so that they would not destroy private property. And they have to, as David mentioned, have to restore all of this.
Okay, so if you're interested, grab a handout. We'll have them on our website, and we'll send them out via email as well. We appreciate you guys coming. Enjoy your morning.